this Thursday as we get ready here. Put our heads down, put the work in. It's kind of a honeymoon type day, though. It's a honeymoon type day, sitting into some positions in equities, continuing to build into profit. Ethereum taking a new position. Solana's on the verge of entering the market. And Bitcoin 107 was just looking forward to entering the market. Price pulled back a little bit this morning. So did the pending buy. 101 in the market right now. Bitcoin bull runs continues to be open position, building into profit. Oh, what a beautiful day. Bitcoin here consolidating, and people are kind of thinking, hey, wait a second, what's going on? Why are we seeing equity markets currently pumping? And why is Bitcoin not joining the party? I think that's what you're thinking. I think that's what you might be thinking over here. And Bitcoin tagging 110,000 this morning. Look at our structure coming right into our structural resistance. And it's on pause here, but don't worry. Bitcoin is always right on time, and Bitcoin is going to do Bitcoin things. Cabby, I love how you're like, hey, can we take a look at what's going on with liquidations? Because you have to wonder what is preventing price right now from shooting out, breaking above this resistance that we've been consolidating below. Is it the fact that OGs continue to distribute Bitcoin, which is very real? I don't know if this is real or not. I don't know if this chart is real or not. Grok says that, hey, listen, I think it came from CryptoQuant. I don't see any OTC supply inside CryptoQuant, and CryptoQuant. Who's your quant? And here's the thing. I mean, OTC are private transactions. So, I don't know if it's possible to kind of have an idea of what that supply looks like. I would like to believe that this is the current situation. And here's the thing. What is the current situation is that for real, there is a significant amount of people who rightfully so, guys, I know it. I know Michael Saylor told you, listen, hodl forever, but never sell. And here's the thing is that obviously, guys, he sold a significant amount of MicroStrategy shares last year, a significant amount. And why? Because he wanted to go ahead and take some chips off the table and go, living in Miami is expensive, and throwing parties on yachts is expensive, and for whatever reason, it doesn't matter. And there are a lot of Bitcoiners who have been holding Bitcoin here for 7 to 10 years who see in Bitcoin at $110,000, and why they think likely that Bitcoin is not stopping here, that it's on its way to 1 million, and likely not stopping there. It doesn't mean that these people do not have families to support, want to buy a house, maybe want to diversify into other. That's what you're here to do as well. It's all good. But here's what's really bullish is that whether this chart is accurate or not, this is what is happening. And, eventually, as we see all of these continuing corporations, for one, who continue to stack at large size, they're buying OTC Bitcoin to do that. And eventually, the willing sellers will be willing at a much higher price. And the ones that are willing at this level, they will dry up. People have lots of different perspectives on whether or not corporate treasuries are a good thing or bad thing for Bitcoin. The fact that they are buying Bitcoin, stacking Bitcoin now, are some of them going to be forced to sell if Bitcoin were to correct? Maybe. We know that strategy, they've been through a bear market. They were able to go from Bitcoin trading 69,000 all the way to 17,000. They didn't sell. Likely they have architected and engineered their strategy well enough to be able to withstand draw. And don't forget, drawdowns going forward are going to be, we're going to see a decreased volatility on the downside. Now, that doesn't mean that over leveraged people can't get themselves into trouble, and they can and they will. And you have to talk about over leverage. There are a lot of people levering up right now, and is what kind of maybe uh suppressing price. I shouldn't say suppressing price. Is that what's keeping price like a beach ball underwater? That eventually that beach ball is going to rise, and we're going to see a beautiful, beautiful leg up. But I loved how Cabby was like, "Hey, can we take a look at what's going on with the liquidations levels around us?" Because that was great insight. Because I wonder, is that what here is, do we got to clear out some leverage before we're able to go ahead and shoot the group? Dog Nation, this was so this morning. I'm like, all right, we'll come back to this in 1 second, Cabby. We gotta move over here and to Dog Nation and Dog Nation. Am I even remotely pronouncing that anywhere in the ballpark of being correct? Meme. People used to get so mad at me. um, there were many others as well, guys. I had to teach myself to read by memorization. I couldn't sound out words, and I've this is who I am. Um, Look, FNGU is currently pending long on the daily. And this is a huge deal. This is a huge deal. Let me show you. Let me jump over. First of all, as we cover our position and to get this out of the way here for stocks as equity markets continue to extend up. Don't worry. We're going to check in on traditional markets a little later. I really want to get into Bitcoin right now, but we continue to see TQQQ build this open position, now 27% into profit. And as I see that, I'm like, as you know, that means that FNGU, if they did not undergo that whole ticker change fiasco, would right now be holding a position over 50% into profit. Sure. Either way, it is what it is, and we always have to adapt, regardless. What always in life is just you gotta always continue to adapt. And this was a thing that was out of our control. Tesla, is Tesla getting ready to enter the market? It looks like it could be bottoming, but right now we're looking at Nvidia holding open position, and this is beautiful. We saw that once again. We are seeing the spot Bitcoin spot ETFs, IBIT in this case, entering the market, and then we have right now FNGU pending long with the new ticker change, and I don't like. This is where TQQQ entered the market right around this area. So let's say, I'm just guessing. I don't know if that's correct, but around that area we would have saw, and truly enough, right around that area we would have saw FNGU enter the market. FNGU, I'm trying to like do my thing right now would be, I said 50% in profit. I mean 44% in profit, but even still, it would have been, and yeah, and maybe not. Maybe it would have entered over here, and then maybe it's only 40% of the profit. But anyway, those are the trades that they really do a big job on the overall. Either which way, guys, we've never been through a situation where there's been a ticker change before, and you know the- listen, it's just another trade. It's not just another trade. Obviously, this trade should be already well into profit. Um, listen, we follow the strategy. It's readjusting. Yep. I don't. That's all we could do. We have to adapt, and in this case, it's pending long at the close of today, and there we are. Um, Boom, boom. There you go. So yeah, I mean, should we be worried? I listen. I wish that we took that trade if the ticker symbol did not have that whole fiasco, and we took that trade right on time. Because right now we would be sitting back for equities, and it is what it is, though, and we're gonna, we're just gonna follow the system from here on in. You know, um, the one thing about this, so I've had childhood best friend begin with CTM stocks about 8 months ago now, and when his first trades, this is a YOLO story. This is very important, really important. And his first trades, he saw FNGU Nvidia go like between like 30 and 50% into profit, like instantly. T triple Q, doing its thing, 20%, and he's like, wow, this is the best thing ever. And it's wow. And then, most recently got on the phone with him, and he just went through. I didn't speak to him the whole thing, and I was like, you're doing your thing. He's like, of course doing my thing, and I was like, it's not easy going through all those stop outs recently, like on Nvidia. I didn't know, like I was hoping that you were head down grinding it out, but I didn't know. He's like, yep. And every time he's like, you know what? I just think Jordan told me, listen, you have to picture where you're going to be 10 years from now. And Maddie's, I mean, my Matt, he's doing great over, like, not just in life, crushing it. But I tell him he's got two young daughters entering college right now, and I try to tell him the state of the world, and I was like, you got to do your best to build their future and give them the best chance that they have, either which way. If you were to do a manual override, the issue and the problem with is this: you then create like a new brain circuit, brainwave neuron connection in your brain that says, you know what, like manual overrides over a systematic system, most people will over time significantly set themselves back. A lot of people, if you ever heard a lot of people inside finance, and they look at Bitcoin's CAGR, and they're like, oh, I mean, why no one believes a 30% CAGR is going to persist for maybe myself, maybe for the next 10 years, but beyond that, no way. And then when you're talking about, 70% in stocks CAGR, guys, you know, most people, by following the rules systematically, are going to get to where they want to be. And a lot of people that open the door for discretion, well, it's very difficult. Yeah, we could have a little bit of fun. I'm going to bookmark that over here, and we'll take a look at that. Our miners finally getting into the groove over here. We might got a lot of alt season, and obviously, guys, this is not about alt season. You guys know my thing. My thing is what? My thing is, well, listen, like we're here to trade. We're here to we love trading alts, and we have Ethereum, Cardano, and Solana in our basket. Uh, and from afar, we've done our best to try to warn people. This is not what Altseason looks like. It's been embraced and become a meme in itself. But we've tried to warn people that, like, this is not what Altseason looks like. You have to wait for there to be speculation out in the market. And aside from that, like, that frothy speculation not going on, besides the 30,000 million altcoins that have been added to the ecosystem, you also now have, like, last cycle, it was the speculation was in miners, Bitcoin miners, and now it's becoming in Bitcoin treasury companies. And you have to think, like, there is a limited amount of capital, and then there's a little limited amount of capital that's out there for speculation. And right now, are people looking to buy Litecoin, or are people looking to buy Metaplanet? You know, and that's where we are. Um, it's the long-term game. You have to Most people underestimate what they could achieve in 10 years. After 10 years is when it gets crazy. Because you've been compounding for 10 years at such a high rate, and then you have a 30% gain compounding on top of where, then it gets really, really, really crazy. That's a discussion for a different day. I wanted to start off with a little bit of, well, let's take a look at what's going on here with Bitcoin. And the reason I start off with this chart over here is because it is my speculation that right now, wait, first of all, you all realize that a lot of people now are realizing, wait a second, this is different. And you're hearing a lot of the brightest minds in the space all of a sudden talking about, well, now that Bitcoin is a $2 trillion asset class and the rate of adoption continues to grow, its price behavior is changing, and we're looking at this reduced downside drawdown and what looks to be like a longer cycle. And I'm like, wow, well, I'm glad everyone is able to see it now. Guys, like pattern recognition. See, I cannot only sound out words, I can't even pronounce word. Pattern recognition is such an important skill. And being able to see and spot trends early is such an important skill. It's for sure a talent, but like any other talent, it needs to be refined. And if you go back to January 2022 is when we first talked about on the YouTube channel what was taking place with Bitcoin as it was moving from the facing reality stage, jumping the chasm of adoption, which now we're into early majority. That has occurred, and you could see the different. I keep telling everyone, retail's irrelevant. Now people understand. A year ago, 18 months ago, people really did not yet understand, and they kept checking Google Trends to find out, wait, how come no one's searching Bitcoin? I'm like, who cares? Like, it doesn't matter. You have bigger players here now who are just taking new retail is all these new corporates that are putting Bitcoin on their balance sheet and doing 50 million clips or $200 million clips or even $500 million clips. That's the new retail of the cycle. And I hope this helps people to visualize what is the most likely path at this point of adoption into Bitcoin. And it's why I place this now over here. Remember, I had the one over here, and when we hit the lower end, but we hit it. But this box over here, and as we move into next year, if Bitcoin, the current cycle is trading in this box, that's an absolute game changer. And at that point, you're going to be like, and everybody, look, I just told you it's going to be a longer cycle and it's different. And the high is going to be much closer to 2028 than 2024. And like it's becoming clearer and clearer to a lot of people. This is going to be an absolute game changer, and that's where I think we're headed. Again, this cycle is massively different in the high occurring prior to the halving and not after the halving, like in each and every other cycle. We continue to see the sustainable channel, and Bitcoin continues to move within it. Very, very, very bullish at this particular moment. A lot of people have been looking at the lead time of this is a 12-week lead time of global monetary supply 2, global M2, and tracking Bitcoin's price. And I put out a tweet. So in the description below, you'll see my Twitter, my X. And if you go to the profile on there and you scroll down like 2 or 3 tweets, you will see where I talk about the difference between global M2 and then monetary supply total. It's a fantastic tweet. I think it'll really help you. I'll be happy in a different session to go over it with you. And again, here's another look and why a lot of people are expecting that blow off to come soon. And if Bitcoin makes the next leg up, if Bitcoin breaks above this resistance that it's been consolidating within for so long right now, and it's able to break out and make that next leg up, you're going to hear a lot of calls getting louder and louder for like we're entering the blow off phase. And outside of a major adoption event happening, a major adoption event, Bitcoin Act being passed, U.S. government begins actually publicly stacking Bitcoin. I think that the more likely path is going to be we're not going to see the previous paths that we've seen before. We're going to be trading under it, and then we're going to come into this area where we're trading above it. So instead of seeing this upward accelerated price action, actually we're going to trade well below it, which is great, which is fantastic. And then as we continue forward, all of a sudden we're going to be above it. And then as we move out to 2028, we're going to be above at some point, above what was the mean. And that right there is extraordinarily bullish. That right there is absolutely beautiful. Bitcoin is beautiful. Nasdaq here, trading still off of session highs, all-time highs, and we're getting ready here for the big beautiful bill to see whether or not it passes the House today. Right now, the White House has a signing ceremony set for 5 p.m. tomorrow on July 4th. We will see. It could obviously go either way. And if a lot of people think it's theater, this always happens. And in the end, at the last minute, you always get across the finish line. But if it doesn't and it didn't, then you could see obviously markets react, incline, and until that is worked out. I I've been implying this cycle is different for like now, Gerard. A lot of people are implying that now. Everyone sees it, but I've been. I'm trying to get to it. I've been saying this cycle is different for you know, we're in April for just, I mean, just over a year. It's not that long, but yeah, for over a year, I've been saying this cycle is different. And a lot of people right around this time were saying we're going to have a left translated cycle. And what that means is that the cycle high was going to be a lot closer to the 2024 having. And I was like, that's not going to happen. We're going to see a cycle a high that comes in a lot closer to the 2028 having than the 2024. And then a lot of people are thinking that, well, we're going to peak right on time now, like in comparison to past cycles. And I'm saying there's no way we're going to have any type of accelerated blow off price behavior at a $2 trillion market cap, especially when you see that there are plenty of willing sellers and there's a major amount of demand, and that is so bullish. The reason that's bullish because eventually, and I don't think this chart is correct, but I think it illustrates what is likely happening is that there will come an equilibrium, and once there are less willing sellers right here above 100,000, then at that point in time, the demand is not stopping. The adoption rate continues to grow at a very nice clip, and you're going to then see price appreciation outside of something like a major adoption event, Bitcoin Act being passed. There's no way that we're going to see this elevated, sharp price behavior, and that is extraordinarily bullish. It's why I call it the sustainable channel. The longer we could stay within this type of channel, is more it when I say sustainable, it means it could keep going. It could keep going. It's very, very bullish. We continue to watch for breakdowns, but yes, I've been implying this cycle is different for over a year now. And now most analysts are like, well, this cycle is different, it's longer. And you're going to start seeing and hearing that as we go on a lot more and more. But we try to look ahead. We try to see things clearly, you know, and for sure, as we onboarded the majority of people, tens of thousands of people into Bitcoin in this area and on 4-year cycle, it was a little not early. There were pioneers that were into 4-year cycle behavior before that, well before that. And there was we just use this platform as a voice to really echo it, but tried our best to become as proficient in it as possible. And that's why when we didn't have a blow off top here, that's why when we didn't have a blow off tier, we knew we had to de-risk down. We didn't know that that was the end of the bull market. We know that when we broke down here, that was a second de-risk down event, and then the third was a 27 right over here, right? So I mean, that's all you could do is just use the technical abilities to be able to manage risk. And we did know when we had the bull market breakout at 17,250, but we did not know that it was not going to be invalidated. And it was almost invalidated right over here, right? But we've been watching the whole time for invalidation. It hasn't happened at this particular point. Um, Yeah, there's a great chart that illustrates that ace that I could pull up very quickly. I said very quickly. Where is it? There we go. Yeah, decode over here. Going. This is amazing. He's able to go ahead and use different LLMs to go ahead and create this indicator at the bottom that you see, which is illustrating the business cycle. I think he has 17 different macro factors to go ahead and illustrate the business cycle. And you could see throughout this whole portion that Bitcoin bottom, remember? And throughout this whole portion, and here you go. He Decode is looking for that blow off top. I'm not at all or anything like that, by the way. But what this illustrates for me is that this whole time, like business cycle is not expanding. And once it begins expanding into the green, that's when Bitcoin is going to be able to go much better. This is great to bring up or move over to this portion of the session in so much as that speaking of business cycle, we got services PMI today coming in at 50.8 and beginning into expansion above 50. So are we seeing the business cycle moving in the right direction? We've been looking at, and specifically this week, some causes for concern, and we're saying, listen, the next 40 days, they really, and that 40 days is not a hard line, right? You could say 40 to 60 to, but the point is, are we going to see the weakening of the hard data? Here we are right now. And if you move out 40 days past, on average, in previous event driven recessions, you've seen all of a sudden from day 80 to day 120, the hard data begin to weaken. And it's very important whether or not the Fed is cutting into normalization or into recession, because 12 months out, the difference on the S&P 500 is roughly on average into a recession minus 11.6% and into normalization up 13.2%. So it really matters. Today's jobs market data seems to point to that actually, and by the way, something that's really bullish, that the revisions this time, instead of being downward revised, the revisions for the past couple of months were revised upwards. And it's showing that the job market remains very strong. That's a good sign that we are not seeing the deterioration of the hard data. Actually, we're seeing it to be pretty strong. I'm going to say pretty strong. There are people who will make. Uh, thank you for that. The true trend is the original gangster, the OG, fantastic. It's led to all of our mechanical trading. Um, just catching a breath. So that's great news that we're seeing the strengthening here of the hard data. And, this is something's different here. This current cycle that we're in right now, coming out of the 20% drawdown, is now an anomaly. It's not an anomaly. Well, it's different. It's different in that it has exceeded all other cycles, bull markets here, on the acceleration to the upside. And so the bull markets, I'm looking at the ones in colors, the ones that were indeed bull markets. Take out 1968. And what's interesting is the one that's next to it, the one that's in that darker blue, is 1998. This previous top deviation is 1998. What's interesting about that is that in 1998, the S&P 500 had just put back to back 20% plus year gains. And it's only done that three other times in the last 100 years. And this time, the fourth time, is this current red cycle that we're in right now. And you saw over the last 2 years, S&P 500 put in back-to-back 20% plus gains. So that is, I mean, are we looking at potentially a major rift into for the next couple of years? Again, from Decoder's business cycle, which is why I got onto this over here, what brought me to it. We're just beginning to see PMI data expanding, which is suggestive of maybe that we are going to see. Guys, there's still like market climbs a wall of worry. We're about to hit a major area of worry, and it seems that we always are. And it what like people look at this chart, and again, this is also, I mean, seasonalities. We just bucked seasonalities. The last 2 weeks of June are historically one of the weakest periods of the year. And then we extended out upwards. And then coming into these first 2 weeks of July, it is historically the most bullish 2 weeks of the year. So we're into right now a very bullish momentum period with seasonalities. And then right after that, though, we have over here on the 9th, we have the end of the 90-day pause. We see some strong posturing this morning. We see Treasury Secretary Bessent saying that, listen, I'm just trying to find the headline over here. I'll just tell you. Treasury Secretary Bessent, there we go, is saying that, listen, you could see, like, if you have not made a deal with us, you might see your rates boomerang back. And, that obviously brings a whole nother world of uncertainty into the markets. A lot of people do believe and speculate, I should say, that as we enter past this 2 week period here. And don't forget, like, there is reason you could speculate adding a little bit of gasoline here to the fire if the BBB, or the big beautiful bill back. I just got it for my first time of why they named it the big beautiful bill. I just figured because it's big, because there's just adding so much debt to the already spiraling debt. Yeah, we know it's big, $5 trillion more, but big beautiful bill BBB is a play on Build Back Better. So, ha ha. I mean, it's our kids' future. This is not really, this is serious stuff. Um, so yeah, is there a cause to watch out what happens mid-July as we run it? It's always as we get into the fall and into the end of the year that usually we see bull markets able to continue their run. And yeah, we just keep doing our thing. We have to keep doing our thing. Um, we see that on the jobs numbers today, you are seeing bonds selling off. And I mean, guys, we're still nothing more into this coil. My own hypothesis is that this breaks out to the upside with a sharp squeeze, and that could actually wind up being a fantastic thing if that were to occur. It goes probably higher than most people expect, but that could be the ultimate liquidity grab. Uh, Now, if I'm wrong, if we break down and close outside of here, then I'm going to be like, bonds are going bids. As we broke down over here onto this, what is a sell impulse, which means a buy impulse for bonds, that you were like, expectations are we could come all the way down to here, but either which way, we're just squeezing out. Is this more of a buy impulse now, or sell bonds that's developing? I'm going to quickly take a look at it with you, obviously, because when I get fixated on something, I can't stop. Look at that beauty. TA is so beautiful. I love seeing the TA that we have designed, which is completely unique. Not here in this case. That's just a trend line, guys. That's just but don't forget, we were the first to do one touch trend lines in the whole financial markets. And I see everywhere now black diamonds being utilized and taught by others. It's beautiful. Black diamond obviously would have been something like this over here on that breakout. Very aggressive, very good managed risk around. We're on the verge. We haven't broken out, but this last buy impulse could be invalidated here, and being on the right side within the coil structure if we break out above that. So I continue to watch for that right now. Dollar continues to be strongly under pressure, and it looks like that's going to continue with the administration's game plan here to go ahead and just run a bunch of short duration. Hey, I'm interested to see what happens as the bill eventually is passed and what that means for Treasury general account. We'll talk about that in a little bit as it begins to develop. We wanted to look at something, and I got off track over here. So let's quickly jump back and look at the miners. This is CoreWeave, and we've been looking for this massive IPO of when it might be showing signs of weakness. Just check this out over here. This is the original line we used, right? Look how we've had 2 touches of support. So yeah, just to save in a butte right here. We'll continue to watch it and track it, but it looks like it's resuming upwards right now. We're on the verge, much like my yields over there. We wanted to look at Riot. Let me jump back. This looks like MicroStrategy to me. So you ready? I'm gonna not. It does not look like MicroStrategy in like the fractal that I'm gonna point out to you. Looks like the Bitcoin fractal of 2012, and it looks like the current MicroStrategy fractal. Let me show you. Large impulse, then mega consolidation, but mega drawdown, obviously, just like in both those others. And then the move up, and then the launch pad being built, right? So I'm going to go ahead and withdraw this over here. I don't know why we're stuck on this. Let me just come over and Launchpad being built. Let's briefly look at MicroStrategy, just so you know what it is that I'm alluding to over here. And MicroStrategy in the market, I missed that. Oh, I gotta make sure my alert was not set up, and I missed that entry. All right, you know what? I'm gonna set a limit here and try to get into this trade. Um, uh, Poor execution on my part. Um, so, uh, but the pattern. Here's that up move I was just showing you. That's like 2021 on Riot, and then it came into that uh, correction consolidation. It's a massive drawdown, but on the greater scheme of things, and you can see the one low. Riot made the second low, and then coming back up and into the launch pad, and MicroStrategy's breaking out. So that's beautiful to see. And then you could see it also obviously on Bitcoin, and it's going to just jump back over to this area right over here. And this is that pattern that's taken the large move up, then the consolidation, which is a mega drawdown, taking that low as each of them did as well. The move up, the launch pad, and the launch pad led to an incredible wave up. So Riot looks good from that aspect, but the question is then which is the better trade or capital allocation into Riot or MicroStrategy? And they're both, you know MicroStrategy is leading on the breakout. um and then yeah, that's the question. And just to give a little bit of insight into that, I mean, They both had the move up over here. Let's go ahead and take a look at what MicroStrategy did out of the move up, and roughly 35%. And then here's what Riot did out of the move up. I would say then that that puts a lot of things into perspective here. And it looks like that Riot actually may be the plan here, the better capital allocation. If you break out and assuming taking out the high, wow, the pattern, right? In Bitcoin, you saw it, and not straight up here. Eventually, when it takes out the high, that's 423% away. MicroStrategy is just around the corner from the high. A nice 33% gain. So the great look on Riot, and I'm making I guess the bullish case for Riot. Uh, you could hold shift to get the measurement. No way. At any point in time? No way. That's so cool. That's so cool. Oh, the left, the shift, Jordan. That's so cool. I love that. No, I mean, listen, how do you know? So I'm reminded, Ace, of gold, right? And by the way, just a quick check in on gold here. Silver is maintaining and making comfortable 36. I absolutely love it, right? That's so bullish on silver. Gold here on the breakout has come in for breakout, retest, resumption, and then came back down for a second test. Still holding. So it's technically here, still holding the breakout. I don't like, it's a little bit of weakness, but I could show you when that occurred on Bitcoin, and it didn't ultimately wind up being anything remotely of a weak thing. Let's use this right here. So this is Bitcoin. Same exact pattern gold's making there. Breakout, retest, resumption, failed, still technically holds, and then winds up being able to make the second resumption up and into the extended confirmed bull market. So similar fractals all over the place. And that's so neat. We love seeing the market like that. Um, but so I'm reminded of gold. So why not miners? And like I'll find it. This right here this is Bitcoin bull runs on gold. This is for, obviously for Bitcoin bull runs, which is the way to go here until we got onto V3, V4, because it destroys even Bitcoin bull runs in a bull market. Absolutely insane. I'm looking for, I was doing so strong all session. I'm a little off. And the Bitcoin bull runs is, I imagine, just right there. And I mean, buy and hold in the blue, and Bitcoin bull runs. This is what it's designed for, is Bitcoin, or modeled for, I should say. And this is not modeled for gold, but here's gold holding a massive 64% trade into profit, right? Entry at just above 2000. And right now it's a beautiful trade on gold. But here's the thing, is that as gold was in this mega long consolidation, which is not just going on there, it's been going on here for the past, decade. Is like, how do you know? Like, the miners haven't proven themselves to be an asset that's worthy of CTM allocation. We have there, like, we've focused in on Bitcoin and crypto. When I say crypto, I mean the top altcoins with a lot of liquidity. And then on select tech stock, And then the only two additions we've made have been in equity markets, adding two Bitcoin plays, the MicroStrategy and IBIT. And I have to set up these alerts, and that they're not even in the Discord. So that's priority. Getting that done, and we've selected on Select Tech, on TQQQ and FNGU, which are, they're kind of like the indexes. I mean, TQQQ is except that it's triple leveraged, and FNGU is like the FANG triple leveraged, but like depending on what's the best performing, you could have an instrument removed or added to the basket. And then you have Nvidia, which has kept pace with Bitcoin's growth for the last 10 years, and then Tesla, which is obviously what belongs well in within our basket as well. And that's the sure shot. I think that the speculative plays need to come from our CTM 1.0 TA and management, and that's why it is great that Riot was brought up by you all, by the community here today, because that looks like it has potential at this particular moment, as it is setting up in what is, I wish I could name this pattern, the the double launch, right? And you've seen it, or we looked at it occurring right now in MicroStrategy on a smaller time frame, occurring here on a 5-year time frame on Riot, and you've looked at that occur actually on Bitcoin as well. All right, everyone, we're going into the 4th. Tomorrow's July 4th. We'll be here. I'll be here. Maybe not. Maybe what I'm gonna do for tomorrow, since it's a holiday, and I'm gonna go ahead and see about over the weekend doing just a nice Bitcoin centric uploaded video. For now, this was a fantastic session, everyone. Fantastic session. Have a beautiful day. Lots of love, everyone. God bless you. And I'll see you all on Monday.